I just realized I've yet to switch out the logo in the loading screen to the V instead of the S. I just now realized that after like, what has it been, like 2 years or so since I made that switch initially? I think it was 2 years ago. And I still haven't switched it out. That is very funny. Alright. We're here. First stream of the week. First MCreator stream as well. This should be interesting, to say the least. So yeah, we'll give people a chance to come in. Did I set the latency? Hold on, I gotta double check the latency. Is it... Okay, I did set the latency. Okay, that's good. Hello, Finn. Welcome. Oh boy. Today is a big day. Today is a huge day. One that I'm super excited for. I'm going to be showing off the main mechanic of this map, and that is the elemental powers. It is a huge day indeed. But before we get started, I feel like there's something that I need to make clear. What you're about to see was made by me, using my own hands. That being said, I want to thank the Lord for everything that He's enabled me to do, because without Him, none of this would exist. I thank Him for the wisdom that He's given me in putting everything together. I thank Him for the ideas initially, and I thank Him for just guiding me through all of the bumps that this has gone through. For context, I've been working on this. Before I started streaming, I'd been working on this for 3 months. Pretty much 3 months straight, sometimes 8 hours a day. So what you're about to see, I'm hoping, is impressive. Now keep in mind, it's not finished yet. There are some extra things like effects and other things like particles and sound effects that are not yet in, but functionally, it's all ready, and I'm super excited. So that being said, I'm going to shut the music off, and we're going to jump right into this. For those of you who don't know what MCreator is, it's basically a Minecraft mod maker. It's what I used to make Shiverburn, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. This is going to be awesome. Let me just jump into my test world real quick. Oh, you might see the stream darken for a second. That's because I'm switching from Minecraft to full screen. That's why. So, 2 things I want to say. First of all, ignore the skin. There's nothing I can do about it. And second of all, welcome to my testing world. We've got a pit. We've got a single fire there. We've got a lava lake. We've got a pool of water. And we've got this guy, which, if you were here for last week, which, Finn, I know you were here last week, I showed this guy off. This guy is fully functional. He's currently standing completely still because I turned off his AI. So that way he doesn't move, so I can show him off. I do have the other variants out, but they're not in here yet. Well, they are in here. I'm not going to break them out, though. So yeah, this is the test world. Isn't it pretty cool? This is what I spent 3 months working on. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, let's get started. So first things first, let's talk a little bit about the previous adventure map, Shiverburn. Because if you were around for the Shiverburn live streams that I did back in March, you know how crazy big of a project that was. The main mechanic of that was kind of the tools and the weapons that you could craft and customize. This system, this elemental system, is a little bit more complicated, but I'm hoping you'll be able to understand. So yeah, basically with Shiverburn, I had this whole tool set where it's like all these different custom modded weapons, tools, and stuff, and armor that you could craft using custom ingredients. It was a cool system, but it had its flaws. I'm hoping that this system, the elemental system that you're about to see, one, is super cool, and two, stands out a little bit and is a little bit overall better. So right now, if I were to go into my settings, I can go into controls and keybinds. There are 3 keybinds here that I have preset: elemental abilities and element selection screen. Currently, I'm not sure if you can hear it on my mic, but I am spamming the elemental selection screen, and it's not working because I am not the elemental master as of yet. But if I run this command, and now I press the button, it opens this screen. These are our 4 elemental powers: fire, earth, water, and wind. Whoops. Ah, yes, the element of wind. That's a bug I gotta fix. Well then. It should obviously say wind. But it currently says fire for whatever reason. Alright, let me get my note card and write that down. Element of wind labeled fire. I'm keeping a note card of any bugs I find during this stream, because it's obviously important. So when I click one of these, it doesn't seem like anything happens, but my arm's on fire now. This is my visual indicator of the current elemental power. And there's one for all 4. There's earth, water, and wind. It's pretty cool. Well, we'll stick with fire for now. As you can imagine, the elemental powers grant you specific perks. And if I go into my inventory here, we can see that the element of fire grants full fire immunity, but it has a weakness of water. So I've got 2 little tests here. A pool of water and a pool of lava, and I think you can see where this is going. If I jump in here and switch my game mode to survival mode, I'm completely fine, no problems whatsoever. But, as you can imagine, if I jump into water, it's an instant death. The way that these elemental powers work is they give the player the properties of those elements. So, for example, fire allows you to, well, be in fire, but if you hit water, water extinguishes fire. So just naturally, it's an instant death. Fire also has some additional properties, but we'll get to those later. Earth is a little bit special. As you can see, I've got slowness and resistance. However, that's not all it does. Elemental power grants +2 damage and +1 resistance, but +2 slowness and -2 attack speed. If I were to go into creative mode and grab just a basic wooden sword, you can see that this has 6 attack damage and 0.6 attack speed. But if I switch back over to fire, 4 attack damage and 1.6 attack speed. So it drops a full attack speed and it drops like 2 additional damage. So you can see that +2 damage that this grants. This is basically just like a super like tanky build. You're tough as earth, but you're also as slow as earth. And it goes from here. So if I just drop that in there. Switching over to water, I think you can imagine what water does. If I open this, elemental power grants water breathing and increased swim speed. So you can see I've got water breathing, just naturally. I can jump in the water here. And I can swim around much faster than you would normally. And my bubbles aren't going down because elemental water. For context, if I switch over to Earth, you can see how drastically slower it is. So this elemental power is going to be useful for underwater levels, which, spoilers, I do plan on making a few. The elemental water also has an additional secret that I'm not going to show off just yet. We'll have to get there later in the stream. And similar to fire, it's an instant death if you catch fire. Same with jumping into lava. Because water obviously just gets evaporated. So there's 2 sides of a coin. There's fire and there's water. They're weak to each other, but you could use them both interchangeably. And of course, you can always select none to get rid of the elemental power properties. So there's that. And then that brings us to wind, which wind grants you protection from smoke and space. Spoilers, again, we're going to space in this map. There is a lot of plans to go to space when it comes to this project in particular. For starters, we're going to be down on Earth, but we're mainly going to be dealing with smoke and space. Yeah, I know. It's going to be crazy. Not like actually space, but more like fake space. But you'll see what I mean if we get there. And you're probably wondering, like, smoke and space? Like, what's up with smoke? Well, I put various different hazards into the map, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But basically, this is a smoke hazard. Whenever you're in a biome or a room or something that's like heavily filled with smoke, this icon will be applied, this effect will be applied to the player. And if you have the element of wind on, it's no problem whatsoever. But if you switch, it does crazy damage, which is currently broken. That shouldn't be doing that. I'm not sure what's up with that, but it is what it is. I am low on health. So yeah, there's going to be smoke hazards. So that's just some of the ideas. And for like use cases where you're going to be in smoky environments, obviously if you're in a space environment, which I do have space as well. And that looks like that. This functions exactly the same as smoke. So if you're in space or if you're in a smoky area, the element of wind grants you protection from that. So similarly, I also have some other hazards. I might as well show off all the hazards now since I'm on them. There's a heat hazard, which is pretty effective, which requires you to have the element of fire on. And then I also have a cold hazard, I think. Yeah. That's not fun either. I'm not going to put both of them on at the same time in the map, but for the time being, we've got 4 different hazards. And those hazards are going to be based off of the biome that you're in. There are 5 temperature ranges that I would like to have for this map. We've got normal, heat, cold, and then extreme heat and extreme cold. Those hazards are going to be applied in the extreme category. So say we have like a cold biome over here, like this snowy area. This would be a cold biome. And if I wanted to do an extreme cold biome, you would go in and you would start taking freezing damage unless you had, I guess I could show you now, the element of water equipped. Because the coolest part about the element of water is it's actually a 2-for-1 combo. Because if you step into a cold area, it switches to the element of ice, which is a completely different build. Element of water transforms into ice while in a cold or extreme cold biome. Elemental power grants cold immunity, and it still has the weakness of fire. So it's a nice cool little thing where if you're in a cold zone, you have restricted access to this otherwise hard to reach. So you do have ice as well. So you technically have 5 elemental powers. And it goes crazier from here. Their base abilities are pretty cool. They grant you immunities, but you can take them even further. Elemental upgrades. As you progress through the map, you will acquire this item specifically. This is the elemental upgrade item. And keep in mind, what you're about to see is currently prototype, and it might be a little bit overwhelming, but I'm going to walk you through it. But basically, your elemental powers can be upgraded with this item. And I think you can see, yeah, it's very much beta. And I think you can see how this works. Each elemental power has a base level of 0, and then you can level them up as you progress, all the way up to 10. Now, this GUI is very much not finished. There's this massive empty space here, which there's room for more content with the elemental powers if we wanted to later in the future. But for the time being, this space is just blank. So we've got each of the elemental powers. We also have this symbol up at the top. This basically just is a button that you can click. It allows you to upgrade the elemental powers. But currently, we don't have any elemental experience orbs, which I will show you in a second. They are, if I can pull them up, these things. So if I reopen this, you can see I can upgrade my elemental power. You can see this purple box around the item went up. Now each of these elemental powers do different things based off of the current level. So fire, for example, I'm not going to go through all, I might go through all of them, but let's just start with fire. Element grants +2 attack damage if on fire or in a heated biome. So before, the wooden sword was only at like, what, 4 damage? Let's just check. Yeah, 4 damage. But now, if I jump into the fire here, do I have to be in adventure? There we go. I have to be in survival. It went from 4 to 6, so it gave us that +2 damage. Just as it says. The catch is that you have to be on fire in order for this to apply. I almost jumped in the water. Now there's later levels that allow you to bypass this rule, but for the basics, that's basically what it does. What does that mean? Anyway. Level 2. Melee attacks light mobs on fire for 4 seconds. If we go ahead and take level 2, You can see it lights this guy on fire. Pretty simple. Now level 3 is blanked. And that might be confusing. Why is it blanked? And why is this blank? Complete chapter 1 to unlock. What does that mean? That is an explanation for another day. For now, I really just wanted to show off the elemental powers. But basically, this is tied to a very specific system, which I'm not going to reveal here. So if we take level 3, we can't actually do anything with it. It doesn't give us any perks or benefits on its own. You need what goes for here in order to use level 3. Same goes for level 5 and level 8. I'm not going to go over what all these do. Level 4, you get increased attack damage. You get +4 instead of the +2 that was down here. Level 5, also blanked. Level 6, this is an interesting one. Element is considered to be on fire or in a heated biome in all environments except cold and extreme cold biomes. So if we take level 6, those perks that were only conditional are now unconditional, as long as we're not in the cold. So if I go into this cold area, that's a bug. Yeah, that's a bug. All right, writing that one down. Writing that one down. Level 6 fire is bugged. But it's basically the idea. You can use it whenever. Level 7, the burn duration increases. So if I go over to my little scrapper bot over here, you'll see that he burns for significantly longer. It's double the time. Level 8, we've already discussed. It's question marked. I'm saving this for a little bit later. Level 9, +6 attack damage. And level 10, elemental power can now sustain damage from weakness, but is not immune. And then the burn duration is increased to 8 seconds. So that guy now burns for a little bit longer. And if I jump in the water, it still insta-kills me because I'm low on HP. But now it doesn't insta-kill me, which isn't necessarily like the most useful mechanic, but it is something that I wanted to throw in. Level 10 also has a secret functionality that's not currently programmed, but there's definitely more I want to do with level 10. Because at this point, like, the player's pretty overpowered. And I really want to do more with level 10. But for the time being, this is just how it is. Each elemental power has its own unique build. So, like, fire is kind of like your DPS ability, or DPS element. You light targets on fire. If you're on fire, you get extra perks. You can hit harder, you can deal more damage. The element of earth is slightly more powerful. Sup, Anna? Level 1, increase attack speed. So earth, if you remember, by default, is -2 attack speed. So level 1 already removes one of those, so you can attack slightly faster. You still move really slow, but your attack speed is like slightly normal. Speaking of normal, level 2, reduce slowness by 1 level. So now I think we're only at slowness 1, which is also pretty good. We still do the crazy attack damage and everything, but now we're at 1 slowness, 1 attack speed, still 2 damage, 2 resistance. Which, if you're curious, resistance is 20% damage reduction. So if you take 10 hits of damage, or if you take a hit that's 10 damage, you only take 8. I am doing fantastic. Anna, how about you? We're showing off cool stuff. Level 3 is consistent across all 4 elements. Technically 5. So fire, water, earth, wind at level 5 are all blanked out. Same with level 8. I'm not going to show you what these do today. We'll have to do that another stream. But in case you're curious, it has to do with this. These 3 slots here. With whatever the heck goes in these slots. Level 4, element grants plus 4 damage. Level 5 is the same. I'm glad to hear it. Level 6 removes the slowness and the increased attack speed entirely. So now at level 6 you move around as normal, and you have your normal attack speed of 1.6, which is very good. Level 6 is a pretty good level. Increased damage, more resistance. Level 9 is huge. That's plus 40 damage reduction, which in my testing, that's huge. And then, whoops. That's another bug. The element of earth does not have any elemental weaknesses. But it still grants the plus 8 attack damage, which I'm curious. Yeah, fire only does 6, earth does 8 at max level. So that means this sword does a total of 12 damage, which is pretty cool. Water is pretty straightforward, except water has some interesting mechanics, actually. Water's build is based off of if you're in water or rain, and you get increased attack range as opposed to, well, you also get damage, but you get increased attack range as well, which is actually pretty OP. And then level 2 is an interesting mechanic. Attacks can short-circuit basic mechanical mobs for 3 seconds. Now what I mean by that is, when we were doing the streams last week, we did the basic Scrapper Bot and the basic, whatchamacallit, the basic Blaster Tank. And then we also had the Advanced and Elite and so on. This is a basic enemy. So if I strike him with the right element equipped, you can see he's got sparks on him. If he had his AI enabled, he would freeze altogether. He would not proceed to attack me. He could still damage me, but he wouldn't be able to chase me at all. It's a stun mechanic, which is pretty useful. Increased attack range and damage. I'm not in water, but the idea is that basically you would get in the water, and then like I could hit mobs from like 6 blocks or 8 blocks away or something crazy like that. I'm actually very curious the range, but I'm not going to test it now. Level 5, we already know the drill. Level 6, element is considered to be in water or rain in all environments except heated and extreme heated biomes. This is identical to the level 6 element of fire. But obviously it's the reverse. So, just to show you that increased attack range, that's crazy. Because if I switch it, you can see normal attack range is here. But if I switch to water, it's all the way over here. So that is absolutely crazy and bonkers. So we go over, moving on. Melee attacks do 6 damage and can now short circuit advanced and elite mechanical mobs. At this point in the game, when you reach level 7, when you get enough of these to reach level 7, advanced and elite mobs are going to be very common. So that's just an extra bonus. 8, we already know. Level 9, the short circuit now stuns for longer. And then level 10, similar to fire. You can sustain damage from your weakness, but you're not immune. I can show that off real quick. You still take a crazy amount of damage. You still take, the damage ratio for this is 1/4 of your HP. So even if you have extra health, which is going to be a thing, you still take the extra damage. You still take 1/4 of your health for each hit. Same goes with fire at level 10. And then of course melee attacks can now short circuit, that needs a space, supreme mechanical mobs. which at level 10, Supreme Mechanic, by the time you get to this level, Supreme enemies are going to be in play, and it's going to be bonkers. Supreme enemies are going to be absolutely lethal. And you're going to want this. So water is more of a play it safe build. You can stun enemies, you can hit them from further away. And yeah, you don't have like too much damage. At most you have 6. But you do have the stuns, and you can hit them from pretty far away. So the idea behind this build is you just hit them from a distance and play it safe. It also pairs really well with what these 3 are. And then that brings us lastly to the element of wind. The element of wind is designed with speedrunning in mind. It's like wind is super fast, it runs right past you, blows things out of the way. And that's basically what this is going to be. So element grants +1 movement speed. I switch over to wind, you can see I've got speed. It's very nice. Level 2 grants the ability to step up full blocks. I was originally planning this ability for level 6. Because when I playtested this mechanic in Vault Hunters from a while back when, they have the step mechanic where you can increase your step height. I think it's a trinket that allows you to do that, if memory serves correctly. But essentially, it allows you to step up full blocks, and it's really cool. And I wanted it to be for level 6, because it's a very overpowered ability. Especially for speedrunning. Not having to time your jumps is actually really valuable. But I feel like I put it down at level 2, because I felt like speedrunners are going to want this early. Because the sooner you can get this, the faster you can breeze through levels. So we put this down here. Level 3, we know the drill. Level 4 grants attack knockback, which I'm very curious if this is going to work on a no AI. It does not. So if I had an enemy here, you could see that is working. Level 5, you know the drill. Level 6 grants the second increased movement speed, so you get +2 speed. So you are going to be running through levels pretty crazily. Again, speedrunning is the idea in mind. You'll also notice that there are no damage buffs up to this point. And that's intentional. Wind on its own doesn't do much damage. So this is really great for sprinting through levels and getting to the boss at the end of each world. But as far as doing damage in combat, it's not very useful. Up until this point. Grants +2 attack damage. For pretty much every other element, this was like a level 1 thing. But for wind, it's a level 7 is when you start getting increased damage. Level 8, we already know. Level 9, it gets +4 attack damage. And then level 10, you get extra knockback and the +6 damage. So at the end of the day, fire does +6, earth does +8, water does +6, and then wind does +6. With fire, lighting mobs on fire, water, short-circuiting, and wind, knockback. So each element has an attack damage and also just an additional perk on top of the attack damage, whether it's burn, stun, or knockback. They're all pretty well balanced, I think, but a lot of this may be subject to change depending on how the map development goes and how everything happens. This is basically just, let's just get this done and see what all happens. So that's the 4 elemental powers. Now that brings me to these elemental experience orbs. I'm curious, did I? No, I did not. I need to fix that. This needs to be bounded to the player's inventory. These items are bounded, and they're also unbreakable. So you can't take this off without either switching it or just clicking none, which clears it. That brings me to these things, these elemental experience orbs. these items are going to be kind of what sets the scale of the map. The proposed plan for this map is as followed. The way that you obtain one of these things, these elemental experience orbs, is by clearing a boss level. That means, in order to maximize all your elements, there's going to be at least 40 bosses. They might not all be unique, they might not all be boss battles, but there will be 40 boss levels. At least that is the current plan. Plans are subjected to change, as I learned making Shiverburn. Nothing I'm saying is locked in stone. Anything could happen from here on out. I'm just kind of explaining what the overall plan is. So the idea is, at the end of each world, there will be a boss level, and when you complete it, you acquire one of these elemental experience orbs. That's 40 bosses, which is pretty crazy. Now, if the number ends up being less than that, then what we can do is some bosses drop like 2, maybe 3 of them, so that way you can really maximize. And in case you're curious, there is a elemental XP refund orb as well. And while you have this in your inventory, you can see the buttons appear at the bottom. So this allows you to refund your decision. It also gives you your experience back. So you can reset all of this if you have enough of these. So that's a nifty little quality of life mechanic. The way that you get these is I'm planning on selling them at a specific shop, which is another thing I want to do for this map. I want to do shops with potentially power-ups and other things like potions, things that would allow you to like light yourself on fire or cool yourself down to use the element of ice, which I might as well show you what the element of ice is like. You can only view the element of ice's levels if you're in a cold biome. So that's right, the element of ice has a completely separate leveling system as opposed to water. That's why I said earlier it's a 2-for-1 special. Level 1 grants attack damage and resistance. That's big. Level 2, attacks can chill mobs for 3 seconds. Chilled mobs move slower and take 150% extra damage. That's a pretty cool mechanic. Level 3, still questioned. Level 4, increase attack damage. 5, you know the drill. Level 6, chilled mobs are affected for longer. Increased damage. +2 resistance, same as Earth. And then elemental power can now sustain damage from weakness, but it's not immune. Just like water. Again, that's only accessible if you're in a cold biome, which is going to be level specific. So it's a pretty good element to have. It gives you both resistance and attack damage. So it's probably the most powerful of all 4 elements, but it's location specific. So you better believe that ice levels are going to be hectic with dozens of enemies and a ton of fun things to just absolutely blow up. Now, of course, here's all the different chest plates, all 4 of them. I've also got the spawn eggs for the scrapper bots, advanced, elite, and supreme. And I also have this item. This mysterious item here. This is an ability scroll. And this thing, if I can open the right GUI, ties to these 3 slots. It's time to address the triple question mark. Which, when the player first boots up the map and they first get their elemental powers and they first see the screen will be like this. You won't see this. This won't be revealed. You won't know what these slots are. You won't know what level 3, 5, and 8 do. It's just going to be all question marks. Ability scrolls are going to grant you ability items. Said ability items are going to go into these 3 slots. And of course, they're completely customizable. I'm going to show you guys this. And again, everything is functional. Except for me activating the ability scroll. Do I have to? Oh, that's why. I don't have an active element. So I guess that's one thing. You have to have an active element in order to even open it. Boom. Select an ability to unlock. Now again, this isn't concrete. Some of these are subjected to change. And in case you're curious, if you switch your elemental power, the icons switch as well. Now I'll just go ahead and show you all of these. The icons switch as well. And there's also an ice variant, which are all really cool. We're going to keep it on fire for now. We're going to go through these abilities one by one, starting with heal. Now, currently there's an issue with this right now, and I think it's pretty obvious. There's no information other than its name telling you what the heck these things do. So, like, just based off the name, you could probably guess that this heals you of HP. But for some of the other more complicated ones, you might not be able to figure out what it is. So we've got heal, fortify, shot punt, ground pound, explosion, spin, dash, and launch. Now, all 8 of these are pretty cool. They all are very important, and they're divided into 3 categories. We've got defensive abilities, offensive abilities, and then mobility. Spin, dash, and launch are all mobility. And then some of these kind of mix in, like ground pound, I'll have to show you ground pound, is both an offensive and a defensive ability, while spin is both an offensive and a mobility ability. So we'll start with heal. When you click it, it gives you the heal item. Restores your HP, 10-second cooldown, and we've got 3 tiers. Tier 1, 4 HP. Tier 2, 8. Tier 3, 12. Pretty straightforward. It does what you think. I run that command, and now you can see this text sends abilities. Place key, ability items in the purple slots. You can then trigger them with a keybind. As you can see, these have also been unlocked now. This will happen when you acquire your first ability scroll. So you won't know what those slots are for or what these levels do until you acquire your elemental power, until you acquire the ability scroll for the first time. Level 3 grants this element the power to use tier 1 abilities. So each ability item has 3 tiers. And based off of your current active element, the level of it, the XP level of it, depends on which tier of ability it calls. So as you unlock abilities and level up your elemental powers, you're also upgrading your abilities with your element. And this is compatible for all abilities for this element only. So you can see tier 3, or level 3 gets you tier 1, level 5 gets you tier 2, and level 8 gets you tier 3. And this is the same across all of them. Level 3, 5, and 8, all dedicated to abilities. So if I plug this in here, you can see that updated over here on the side. If I just remove it, you can see it updating. So when I close this, yeah, I figured that was going to insta-kill. I need some bots to smack me in the face. Come here. So these guys are doing damage to me. If I just bait them down into the hole. I got one in. There we go. I'm fairly low on health, so if I click my ability button, nothing happens. Because my current elemental power is not at level 3. So let's fix that. And now when I click it, it works. It works well. You can also see I've got the heal cooldown in the corner, and there's a visual indicator on the top right. That's fairly important, because while you have that status effect, you cannot use the ability. That being said, if you switch your elemental power, you can use the same ability more than once, as long as you switch your element. The elemental powers are only checking if you have the corresponding cooldown initiated. Same goes for water. And same goes for wind. So technically, you can keep stacking abilities basically forever. Problem is, you have to open up this menu and make your selection, which leaves you vulnerable to attack. So if you're doing this mid-fight, then probably not going to be a good time. And you can also see, if I just jump in the pit here, I'm just going to use creative mode to get out. If I upgrade my level to level 5 and use the ability, it heals significantly more. But if I switch my element, it goes back to tier 1 because the active element, which is Earth at this point, is still at tier 1. So it's within your best interest to try to upgrade your elemental powers with your abilities in mind. You'll also notice the artwork changes based off your active element, which I think is a really cool detail. So that's kind of the elemental powers and abilities explained. Let's show off the other 7 abilities, starting with Fortify. So I can put this in there, and it's worth knowing that you can completely customize these however you'd like. One thing I wish I figured out beforehand was having some sort of like indicator in this bottom right, left, that showed what your abilities were. But that's a project for another day. So Fortify is fairly simple. It gives you increased resistance for a short duration of time. That duration of time is based off the tier. So it's like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And then tier 3 gives you +2 resistance. Again, going back to what I said earlier, that resistance is 40% damage reduction. And if you have the element of earth or the element of ice, that grants an additional +2. That stacks. So Fortify, you can get 80% damage reduction, which basically if you took a hit of 10 damage, that only does 2. Which is absolutely bonkers. And might need to be rebalanced later if boss battles are too easy. So that's Fortify in a nutshell. Next we got Shot Punt, which it's your standard projectile. Shoots a projectile in the direction you are facing. 15-second cooldown. Tier 1, 2, and 3 do increased damage. It increases by 2. This is pretty simple. I'm going to plug that into slot 3. And it launches a fireball. It's not the Minecraft fireball because I needed to control its damage. And it's worth noting that different elements have different projectiles. Wind does knockback, water short circuits, earth does a ton of damage, but it's heavier. And then fire obviously lights players on fire. It's pretty sweet. That brings us to Ground Pound, which is honestly my favorite ability because it's so satisfying to use. It's also worth noting, if you lose any of these items, you can't get them back. So that is something to keep in mind. You want to keep track of these. So ground pound is currently bugged. It's supposed to only trigger once you're in the air. But basically, yeah, it can only be used in midair. Upon landing, all mobs within 3 blocks are dealt damage and are knocked back away from the point of impact. 5-second cooldown. And then the increased tiers just increases the power of the knockback and also damage. So if I just spam a bunch of guys right around me, jump. Now keep in mind, that's only tier 2. Tier 3 is even more insane. But you can see how this is a defensive ability, because now none of these mobs, I think, are in attack range. And this is pretty effective. It's a short cooldown too. The downside is that now the enemies are further away from you, which means you can't really do as much damage anymore. But it's a good offensive/defensive ability. And that brings us to the bottom 4. Explosion, which is not as straightforward, but it's similar to ground pound. Affects all mobs within range. 30-second cooldown. This does the most damage out of like every ability in your arsenal. 10 damage doesn't seem like a lot for tier 1, but the idea is that the scrapper bot, which is these guys that you see around here, are only going to have 10 HP by default. So this will insta-kill basic enemies at tier 1. And of course, upgrading it increases the attack range. It is pretty cool. And it also works with different elements. So all of these guys are short-circuited. I don't think water does as much damage, but it short circuits. Wind, I think, launches them. Wind launches them in the air. And then Earth, I think, just does a ton of damage. I think it does like 15 damage. But it's just like, boom. I definitely need like particles and sound effects for that one. Now, spin is interesting. If you've ever played Super Mario Galaxy, you might recognize this ability. Damages all mobs within a 2-block radius. If used midair, it also acts as a double jump. So if we hook this up, it doesn't have much range, but it does do knockback. It's got a fairly short cooldown. Let's switch it to... let me just upgrade that to tier 3. Because I think tier 3 is, yeah, 2-second cooldown. So if I jump and use it midair, it acts as a double jump. So this is a good example of mobility items. You also notice it cancels your forward momentum. That's intentional. Because there are other abilities that give you height. And this one is both a combo attack. Wind gives you more vertical height though. So you could use wind more frequently. Or to get more height. That brings us to dash. Dash is pretty straightforward, literally, because you dash forward. See what I did there? Aren't I funny? Dash horizontally in the direction you are facing, or dash backwards if you are crouched. That backwards mechanic is actually more useful than you think. There's a lot of cases I would like where you need to retreat from an enemy and you need to do that quickly. So if you're just crouched and you use dash, it sends you backwards. Not as effective as using it forward, but it's still pretty useful. So, I forgot what the tiers do. Oh, tiers affect the cooldown, except for tier 3. Dash can be used 3 times before going on cooldown. That is absolutely OP. So you can see I can just absolutely yeet myself with fire. And if I'm crouched, I can yeet myself backwards. This is in part useful in combat situations, but its main functionality is going to be in platforming sections, which there will be platforming sections. I think wind does slightly more. You'll also notice it disables gravity. Wind cooldown doesn't seem to be working. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's interesting. Why is that working like that? Is it because fire's at level 8? Are the other elements working like that? They are. Interesting. That's a bug. So I gotta fix that now. But you get the idea. It dashes you forward. Earth is unique because all the other elements take away your gravity during the dash, but Earth does not. Because you're heavier. It just made sense. So that's going to be useful in some cases. This does mean that you don't go as far as you normally would. But, hey, that's the element of Earth. And that leaves us to the last ability, Launch. Which is similar to Dash, but vertical. Launches you vertically from the ground with a 10-second cooldown, 5-second cooldown, and the ability to use it midair. So if we preset this, and then use it, I think it allows you to clear 4 blocks in height. We can actually test it. If it comes off cooldown. I'll just switch to fire. So... oh yeah, that allows you to easily clear like 4, maybe 5 block gaps. 5 blocks. And then at tier 3 you can also use it midair, so... imagine setups like that where it's like... you launch and then you dash 3 times. That's going to make for some fun platforming. And that's all the abilities. 8 abilities total. Currently, there are 8 abilities. Now, as I mentioned before, with the experience orbs, these abilities are going to be tied to specific points throughout the map. The map itself, I'm planning to divide into chapters, which each chapter is going to have its own unique theme, story, and overall style and mechanics. And when you complete each chapter, you get an ability. So by the time... that means there's going to be like there's a planned total of 8 right now. So by the time you finish the game, you'll have all the abilities. So you can pick whichever ones you want. And you can just swap them out however you'd like. So if you want launch, or if you want spin, or whatever build you want, you can completely customize it however you'd like. And of course, there's going to be sections where I make a suggestion on recommended abilities, and we'll get to those. We'll cross those bridges when we get there. So, we've got the leveling system, we've got abilities, and that's pretty much it. There is more to this system, to the elemental powers, but essentially that's the basics. We've got your leveling system, and we've got abilities. And that's what I've been spending the past 3 months on. And that, in a nutshell, is everything. And in case you're curious, all of this is the code behind it. Each one of these things is a different procedure. And there's also subfolders as well. So these are all the abilities. All the abilities have all the cooldowns. There's a reset command. We've got all the different hazards. We've got all the different menus as well. There's a lot that went into just the elemental powers. And I think it turned out really good. I'm very curious to hear you guys' feedback on a lot of this, because essentially this is the main mechanic of the map, is the elemental powers. You start the map out without them, but then after you like get to like the first boss or so, you receive them then, and then from there with your elemental powers you get to take on the first technical boss, like technically the first boss, but we'll get to there a little bit later. You might also notice the name of the mod that I've went with. I'm calling it the Starmander Saga. For the foreseeable future, I'll probably still refer to it as Project Ruby, but I'm calling it the Starmander Saga. And you'll also notice that the mod's name is Starmander, so when I was typing in the commands, you'll see that. Alright, so that's basically all I have to say. That was a lot of talking. Let's put the music back on, and let's see how many of these bugs I can fix. We'll get the music back on. Alright, so element of wind is mislabeled, so that should be straightforward. Oh, there it is. There it is. You'll also notice that I have this little thing, can use wind. There's going to be sections where the elemental powers, or specific elemental powers, are disabled outright. So I have that mechanic as well. So that should fix that problem. So that is done. The element of fire doesn't work. So let's see. This is all the code for... whatchamacallit, for the element of fire. This is just some of it. So when I did in the test, it didn't remove the buffs, which means this logic on fire was not set to false, which means this wasn't working. And I think I know why. So if I just remove these... This all looks very complicated, I will admit. But it is kind of straightforward. If this is true, or this is true, or this is true, and this or this is true. Actually, I'm willing to bet if I just switch that to an or, that might do it. That is something to test. We can just save that, and then we'll reload it, and we'll retest it. So, yeah, level 6, it's supposed to take away those perks if you're in a cold zone, but that wasn't the case in the test, or in the showcase. So, I gotta fix that. I'm hoping that does the job. It's gonna jump into full screen. I should probably not have it in full screen for this stream, because I notice it kind of blacks out for a minute, or for a second. So, let's see. I need some of these. I'm not sure when they changed this, but they keep commands, the data. Yeah, you can see the mod's name is Starmander, and there's a specific reason for that. And if you've actually been here for a long time, you might even recognize the name. I need refund orbs. So, level 6. I need sword. So this does 4 damage. Is that correct? 4 damage. That is correct. If I come to here, still does 4. This does 4. That still does 4. I'm at level 6, right? Huh. So that's still not working. Why is that not working? I'm pretty sure that's how it was at the start of this. Let's just check. Because it's always worth checking. We just have to test. That's part of the development process, is just testing and making sure that everything works. It's a very important part of this process. I think for the sake of the stream, where is it? Video settings? Full screen. I'm just gonna leave full screen off. I normally keep it on, but just for the sake of the stream. Because the stream has a hard time keeping up when application goes into full screen. So we're at 4. That's fire. We have fire enabled. Why is that fire resistance 2? That's a bug. Okay, now it's saying I'm at 8. Oh, that's right. Hold on. What's the base? I need to switch it to none. Base is 4. So if I switch it to fire... Okay, that is working. I think it was just purely because I had the wrong element selected. I think the change that we did worked, but because I had the wrong element enabled, it looks like it didn't. So I'm for sure at level 6. It's not stripping the perks, which means I think I just need to go back. Whoops. I think I just need to go back and revert what this change was. I think that's legit all it was. It's just that simple change there. I think that might have actually done it, and I just didn't know about it like an idiot. Such is the way of things. Such is the way of things. Alright, so not in cold. In the cold. Still not working. It's still considering me to be on fire. Huh. That makes me worried that water is also bugged. Let me just check water. Just to make sure, just to see how water did. And fire XP is 6, or... So that's how water works. Okay, so that's water. Are the biomes just not tagged correctly? Cold, extreme cold. Let's just go into the tags. There's cold, extreme cold. They're spelled properly. Heated, extreme heated. I don't know why this isn't working. Maybe it's just the order in which things are placed. I wouldn't expect that to... I wouldn't expect that to make a difference. But maybe it's just the order. Because water here is ordered rainwater or bubble column. And so if they're burning in lava or they're level 6, Or, and then the and in the ores. Maybe that'll do. I'm gonna definitely test water, because I feel like water might be bugged as well. But we'll see. It's part of the fun. And we'll definitely just double check to make sure that, we'll definitely check to make sure that water works as well. There isn't a heated biome near the testing area. Part of the reason I chose this testing area is because there's a cold biome right here. So that does that. It's still not working. That works. That also works. But that doesn't. Okay. So what I can do is grab myself a command block. We will go from like this corner. Biome. Nope. What's the command? Fill biome. It's been a hot minute since I've done commands. We'll just turn this entire island into like a desert. Yeah, now you can see the grass color. That's interesting. So, let's switch to water, which... going to level 6. If we drop down to level 5, what is this? 4. But if we up it to 6, this goes to 8. And if we go into here, it stays at 8. That not good. I suppose, likewise, I should probably test fire as well, just to make sure this system works. So let's see, that's 4. That's 6. That works. I don't know why the opposite doesn't work. That is a good question. So this just outright doesn't work. For whatever reason, this just doesn't work. And I don't know why. And the same problem applies to water as well, which that's not good. Oh, boy, what to do about this? So this is working. So if they're burning in lava, their level is 6, or they're in one of these two biomes. That seems to be working. I don't know why this isn't working. This is tied to level 6. So what if we did this? And then we'll just remove this. Place that there. What if we just tried this? Let's test it. It's really just like a rearranging puzzle. You just have to just kind of rearrange it, however, and just see what works, what doesn't work. Go back, test it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you gotta fix it. Try it again. And this was the case for like 8 months, or probably closer to 10 months, working on Shiverburn, which was my last mod project. So let's put fire at 6. We've got fire enabled. We are checking for +4 damage, which we currently have. That works. So normal, heated, that works. Yes! Finally! It strips it. So that's 8. We step into the cold. It's now back down to 4, which is its normal. Yes! That makes me so happy. Now we just have to do the same for water, but the reverse. Because I know water isn't working either. So we can go into water, chest plate trigger. So it's literally just slap that there, and then slap that there. And then water, that should be water. That should work. This should work. So fireworks. That's the bug fixed. Excuse me. Let's see if water works now. So water is at level 6. Currently, we've got the 8 attack damage. Is that what we're expecting? That's +4. +4. If we go into the cold, are we still at +4? Yeah, we are. We are still at +4. But if we go into the desert over here, quote unquote desert, we're back down to 4. Now, what if you're in water? If you're in water, it doesn't matter, because this is for sure desert, right? Yeah, that's for sure desert. But as soon as you're out of the water, nothing. And then you just have it. Sweet. So the idea with water attack range is that you jump in the water and then you'd be able to swing mobs from like here. Yeah, you can see, this is exactly what I was hoping for with water. Before level 6. That's pretty OP. I might have to drop that down to like half instead of a full point. I might just do that. So let's see. This is water's attack thing. Let's just see what the default is. Attribute reset. Entity reach. The default is 3. This sets it to 5. So what I'm going to do is set that to 4. 6. And then 6 as well. So it just drops it by a little bit. Actually, I'm going to do that 3.5. And then, what, 4? That won't be too OP. I think that's better. Or just save that. So technically the information is still the same. If I go into water here and then edit this, +2 attack range. Technically it shouldn't be. Plus 0.5 attack range. And then... Oh. And then +2 damage. +4. +4 there, and then +1 attack range. Then I gotta go into my document. I've got a Google Docs on the side that's keeping track of everything. So now I've got to change this. +2 attack damage, and then +0.5. And then +1 attack range, +4 damage. And then that saves. Sweet. Yeah, there's nothing else. Earth was also bugged. I think it was Earth. I just go into here. Yeah, Earth just doesn't have any weaknesses. Originally, I had Earth have an explosion weakness, which made sense to me. But after doing some testing and experimenting, I concluded it wasn't possible for me to do that, at least not yet. It's something to look at for the future. Something I'll maybe come back to. Yeah, Earth doesn't have any weaknesses. Level 10 just grants +8 attack damage. That's simple enough. Now, one thing I will say, level 10 does kind of feel underwhelming right now. But there's another functionality that I want to give level 10, I just haven't implemented it yet. And I also don't know if I'm gonna let you guys know about it. Where is it? Element abilities. Alright. So that is that. That's also Earth. Next is Dash. Dash is currently bugged. Oh, goodness gracious. So, first of all, I gotta figure out why Dash wasn't, or why Dash was dashing 3 times with all elements as opposed to just the one. So, all the dashes run off the same procedure, which is Fire Dash A, which is this thing. But that doesn't seem to be working. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what it is. Here's the culprit. I forgot. So this is the procedure for dashes. This is the level 3, this is the level 5, and then this is the level 8. So basically it checks the dashes, it checks what the value of dashes is, and as long as it's greater than 0 or equal to 0, it allows you to dash, and then it takes away 1. And then if it's less than 0, it resets it. It gives you the cooldown. Problem is, I had it gated for fire XP. And when I was writing this out, I just copy and pasted the procedure and forgot to switch this out for the corresponding elements. So, ironically, because I had fire at level 8, it was allowing all the elemental powers to dash indefinitely, or dash 3 times over. Yeah, because I've got another variable, dashes, that allow you to keep track. If I wanted to, I could bump this number, but I don't think I'm going to. 3 is good enough. So that saves. This is the dash procedure, by the way. It's fairly straightforward. It's just a motion vector override. And you can also see that the 0 here on the Y value is what's responsible for not giving any height. And then we've got the no gravity here. And then this is just the reverse, which is if you're not seeking, it sends you forward, and if you are, it sends you backwards. So that's how that works, in case you guys were curious. These are the different projectiles. All of these ones, like explosion here, this is the specific procedure. And then on the keybinds, I just have it check what item was left in your ability slot, and it calls the corresponding procedures. These procedures then determine what those do. Also, ground pound was broken a little bit. It was able to be used on the ground, which is not what I want. Where is ground pound? Ground pound A. So the way that this works is it adds a secondary potion, which is the actual like ground pound potion, and then that potion is what does the actual like boom explosion, launches everything. But for whatever reason, it's not ice ground pound, level 3. I didn't add the check or if on the ground. Let's go into data. Vulnerable on ground. Active element equals 1. I need a logic here. And external. I need to invert this. And then throw that onto there. Just gonna duplicate that. They're not on the ground. They have fire 1 and don't have ground pound active. Let's just double check. Let's just double check these. Ground pound A. Yeah, that's what we're checking. Okay. So that should fix that problem. We should see that ground pound is now working as intended. It's a really cool system. I really like how MCreator lays everything out, code-wise. It's really nice. I have a lot of appreciation for the developers of this. It's open source too. It's free to use. Like, they do ask for donations, which I have donated to them before in the past. Not saying that as a flex, just a statement, but it's free to use and it's really nice. So now when we load back in, we should see ground pound is working properly. Full screen that. And that should be everything. That should be ground pound working. I'm very glad I chose to do this on stream. So I need an ability scroll. Oh, that's another thing. If you have an ability scroll and you've got no abilities left to unlock, it's just blank. Ability reset. All. And then now I can take ground pound. Yeah, I added that nifty little command just in case I needed to reset. Let's just use fire. So now when I use it, it doesn't work. But if I use it midair, then it works. Okay. Yep, that works now. I do think I need to... Actually, let's jump back in. I want to see what tier 3 does, just how far it launches, because that's pretty far. Unless this is already... No, this is not even at tier 3 yet. I need a new guy. He goes absolutely flying. Holy cow. I definitely feel like I need to nerf that. Just slightly. I do like how satisfying it is. But I do think that needs a little bit of a nerf. Ground pound A. I need the other ground pound. Ground pound reset. Water ground pound, ice ground pound, wind, fire. Is this it? I do believe this is it. Speed factor 9, 15, 15. So the range increases as well as it levels up. So that's 1, that's 3, that's 4.5. So I think I need to set that to 1, 2, and then 3. Earth is even more powerful. Holy cow. 1.5. 2.5. And then 3.5. I really hope I'm not, like, underpowering ground pound now. Let's just test to see what 1, 2, and 3 does. And then we'll test it with Earth as well. Because that sends things, like, absolutely flying. Which I do suppose is the point. But that's fire. I feel like Earth should do that, if anything. So, let's see. So, let's drop that down to 3. That barely does anything. I forgot to downgrade that. So that's a level 1 ground pound. I think that's better. Let's just do a test. That does about the same. That's Earth. That's fire. That goes absolutely flying. Yeah, I like that a lot better. Let's do that. So, water will just be, you know, your 1, your 2, and 3. Speed factor is what controls how far they fly, in case you were curious. Ice, definitely keeping 1, 2, and 3. And then we got wind, which... Holy cow, wind is... Wind is absolutely bonkers. Holy cow. The blowback's insane, but I know the damage is a lot less on wind. But the blowback is insane. I just want to see what this is like. That's, at base, that's more than Earth at max. That's crazy. What was I thinking? I guess I just wanted to see things fly, I guess. Just absolutely send them. That is absolutely insane. I just want to see what level 3 wind does with this thing. I know it doesn't do as much damage as the other elements, but I have to know. So, what are you at? You are at 8. So this is level 1. Holy cow. That's way too much. That is hilarious, though. That is way too much. That sends him into the water. And then I imagine level 8 is just into unloaded chunks. Not really. So that's getting nerfed. I think 4.5 is good for, like, down here. So we just make this, like, 3.5. And then cut this in half, 2.5. I think that's a lot better. So it's like... Fire is 1, or Fire tier 2 is 2, while Wind tier 1 is also 2.5. So I think that's everything when it comes to ground pound. I think that was pretty much everything. Now, one thing I wanted to test is fire ability scroll. Heal button display. Heal. Cancel. Okay. That's heal button clicked. Heal button display. This is not doing what I thought it did. So this is what I would like. Print on a new line. Alright, let's just test that. I'm gonna have to configure this for everything. So what is that? Tooltip. So let's get a procedure. Heal button tooltip. Flow, we need to return text. Create text with... We'll do this. Heal. As its name. Let me pull up my thing. So... Restores your health. 10-second cooldown. And if I save that, and then go into here, and then set that to heal tooltip, and then let's just check it. Let's check it. Because if this works how I think it does, then this is one of the problems with the ability scrolls that I was hoping to fix. Because originally I had the description typed out on the tooltip, but for whatever reason it didn't like print it onto a new line. So it just ended up going off of the screen, which is not what I wanted. In order to see this, we need to be on fire, because these are different GUIs. Interesting. It literally just prints it, like, right after. Yeah, this is the problem. It prints it all on one line. So... that's not good. I wonder how we can fix that. Maybe we do, like... add another item. Is this how it works? And then... is this... I need to know how this works, because if I can get this to work, if I can get it to print onto a new line, then that's going to be great. That means I can have the super long descriptions and not have to worry about it going off the screen. I have to know where's a good place to shop it, though. I'm really hoping I can get this working. That'd be so nice if I could. Yes! That's exactly how it works! Sweet! Restores your health. 10-second cooldown. I might as well ability reset all. Get ground pound back in here. So, heal. Restores your health. 10-second cooldown. So now I can print things on different lines. That is super nice. What else can I do with text? Replace blank with blank on blank. Does text contain trim text, uppercase text, lowercase, format number? Localize key. What is format number? Not sure what that is, but we'll figure it out. Actually, then I need 2 more. So that will print a new line. 10-second cooldown. Restores your health. 10-second cooldown. And that should work pretty well. That should work. I really like this music. It's really nice for streams. It's just nice and chill. It's probably gonna get old after like a few weeks. Yep, heal. Restores your health. 10-second cooldown. That is really nice that I have that now. Yes, this is huge. Alright, now we just have to go through and do, well, for starters, all of these. Heal button, tooltip. Save. I have to do this for every single one. Fortunately, we don't have to do the same. That got misaligned. I'm closing it. Because these are in pretty pixel perfect places. Not that. Not ability text. We'll do that. And then ice as well. We don't have to make a new procedure for each one. We just have to make a procedure for each ability. So we can duplicate this. So heal button, fortify. I forgot backspace, or forgot that does that. Fortify. Fortify increases your resistance for a short time. This one, I think, has... Yeah, this has a 30-second cooldown. That's pretty long. Spin, dash, and launch are the only ones that have shorter cooldowns when you level them up, so pretty much everything is just going to have this. Let's type all these out first. So, shot, whoops, punt. Shoots a projectile. Spelled wrong. In the direction you are facing. It's pretty standard stuff. 10-second. Nope. I mean, yes, but 15-second cooldown. I was probably wondering why I don't list the tiers here, is because the tiers are on the item. I really just want the player to know what the ability does, not like the specific details with the tiers. Plus that'd just be like too much text on screen, I think. Ground, pound. And you can see how, like, all of these things are just like small little things. Like, that's not too difficult, but there's just a lot of different things that needs to be done. Round, pound. Straightforward. Now, this one I am going to add 2 more items to this. Just because can only be used mid-air. And then we have this line. On landing, all mobs within 3 blocks are dealt damage and are knocked back from the impact point. I think that's going to be too much. This one only has a 5-second cooldown, so it can be spammed. Not that it would be effective spamming it. I think that text is going to be too long. I think I'm going to have to print another line. And that's fine. I just have to figure out where, like where it cuts off, so I can start a new line. I really like this. This is something I didn't know how to do before, otherwise I would have done it. So we're learning as we go, and I think it's really cool. Is what I would have said if I wasn't an idiot and didn't pre-program these. So, fortify. Remember how I said earlier that we were going to do this last? Did I do shot punt right? Yeah, I did. Alright, we'll just do it on fire, because that's what we're testing. I just want to make sure, instead of going through the whole process of programming it for every single element, we'll just do it on fire and then go from there. So if I need to print more lines, then I'll just do that. If I wanted to, I could go absolutely crazy and print every single letter on a new line. That would be funny. Alright, increases your resistance for a short time. Shoots a projectile in the direction you are facing. That's interesting, it printed it to the left. Last time it just printed it to the right. Now it's printing it to the right. See, like, it's printing it to the right on, or to the, yeah, to the right on these ones. But these ones are turning it to the left. Why is that? That wasn't the case before. Regardless, it fits on screen, so I'm happy. And it is printing it to a 4th line. What the heck? Why wasn't it doing that before? Like, I kid you not, I'll open Earth. Okay, it's not listed. It's not listed, but... it wasn't just... Now I just look like a crazy person, because it's not doing it now. Ay, ay, ay. Well, regardless, I'm glad it's working. I can't really complain, it's working now, so I'll take it. But that wasn't working like that before. Alright. explosion. How funny would it be if I'm spelling something wrong and Google didn't pick it up on the document? So what is that? 4? There? Perfect. This one I know is big. I'm debating on if I should up this to, like, to be longer. Because this thing is basically gonna insta-kill pretty much anything on, like, anything within range. At least basic enemies. Advanced, I'm not sure what their health is gonna be like, but I know it's gonna be slightly less, or slightly more than normal mobs, so I'm very much debating on increasing that damage, or increasing that cooldown. So we'll do that. So, spin is pretty straightforward. Although spin has 2 uses. So I might need to go back and add some more lines, which I'm fine with. Damages all mobs within a 2-block radius. If used mid-air. Use mid-air. That is a typo on the document. in there for whatever reason. Fix that real quick. It acts as a double jump as well. Definitely not 30-second cooldown. So spin doesn't have a cooldown. So these last 2 we can just delete altogether because there's no cooldown. Or, well, the cooldown is affected by the tier because it's 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then 2 seconds for each tier for spin. So that is actually one that we don't need a cooldown for. Dash. Pretty straightforward. This is such a nice thing. I've wanted to do this for a while, and I'm very glad I can do it now. Very glad for that. Lord just gave me wisdom for this. I'm gonna credit him when I can. Yeah. You're probably wondering, as well as I, why am I not just copying and pasting like a normal person? If I have it typed out on the document, why am I not just copy paste it? That's a good question. I kind of like typing it out. Now, keep in mind, these abilities are just the 8 ones that I came up with. I've got a few more ideas for abilities. For example, like a Berserker ability where on use, it increases your attack damage for a short time. Similar to like Fortify. That's an idea. I didn't go with that one as part of the main set because I just thought the increased damage was going to be tricky to control. And that's the main thing about these abilities is I wanted them to be useful, but not like super broken overpowered. It's also worth noting that closer to the end of the game, or at least the proposed game, certain abilities are going to be required. Like early game, you won't need to use abilities, but later in the game, especially at the last chapter, where you have all the abilities available, the plan is that you need to use all the abilities. Alright, so let's just see how this looks with fire, and then we'll do the task of adding all the rest. I need some water. Oh, that's better. Alright. Shot punt, shoot the projectile in the direction you are facing. Ground pound, use midair. Upon landing, all mobs are dealt. All mobs within 3 blocks are dealt damage and are knocked back from the impact point. I think that range increases with levels, but we'll see. Explosion damages and affects all mobs within range. Spin damages all mobs within a 2-block radius. If used midair, it acts as a double jump as well. Dash. Dash horizontally in the direction you are facing, or dash backwards if you are crouched. And then launch. Launches you vertically from the ground. There's no cooldown on those 3, but there is cooldowns on those, because the cooldown is affected by the tier. So spin, I think its damage is... Yeah, the damage is fixed, I do believe. But that ability to double jump is really nice. Is that all? And then I need a new ability scroll. Damages all mobs within 2 blocks. Yep. So all that works. Let's go set it up for the other elements. So... Fortify. I wish there was a faster way of doing this, but there isn't. I keep wanting to click out and save. Ground pound. Yeah. Explosion. I definitely need to add particles and stuff. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, fixed it. Oops, that's ground bound. Launch, save, save. That's good. Whew. Broke it, but I fixed it. Fortify. Shot punt. Ground pound. Explode. Spin. And dash. I'm very curious what players are gonna pick first. Is this off-centered? It looks like it's off-centered. Is that the case for all of them? It is. It just looks off-centered. Well, that's something to fix. Water's good. Wind. Fortify. Shot punt. Nope, that's ground pound. Yeah, this task isn't necessarily fun. But hey, it's worth it. It's worth the effort. And then ice. Fortify. Now, if I wanted to take an extra step, I would explain the differences with the elemental powers on each of these screens. But that, I imagine, would just be a lot of work. Alright, now time to fix this garbage. Actually, let me... where is it initially? I really need to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think right there. That also doesn't look centered. That still doesn't look centered. And that's really messing with me. That looks more centered. So if I save it and reopen it, that looks a little bit more centered. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we'll just move it over 5. That was definitely... retry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it looks off-center to the other side. If I only did 4. That looks better. I'm looking at the white outline. And just kind of like trying to count the pixels. I'll just save that there. Fire ability scroll. Yeah, we'll do that. No, just test it. Make sure that works. As you do. I imagine the MCreator streams are not going to be as entertaining or exciting or anything like that. But really the whole point of the stream is to just hang out with people, and if people just don't want to hang out, then that's fine. I get it. But I'll be here. I'll be here working. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So if I switch over to fire, or to earth, shot punt, ground pound, launch, dash, spin, explosion. Hi. This also looks more centered. It definitely looks way more centered. Yeah, fortify shot. Oh, I never showed this. Might as well put that in there. The ice also has That's something I didn't show earlier. Let me just show you guys real quick. I've got ground pound. Ice has a special mechanic when it comes to abilities. Ice. So normally ice at level 2, attacks can chill mobs, which makes them take extra damage. However, abilities for ice do so much more than that. So if I just use, if I get a bunch of guys here and I throw explode, you can see it freezes all of them. During that state, they cannot move, they cannot damage, they can't do anything. They just sit there taking the damage. And that is the same for all abilities, except for ground pound. Even though I feel like ground pound should freeze, but it makes sense not to, I guess. So yeah, abilities freeze mobs entirely. So it's an upgrade from short circuit, which only prohibits them from moving. Freeze also, if I can make my shot. Freeze also gives them like damage as well. So they're like slowly taking freezing damage there. It's really cool. I forgot to show that during like the showcase part of the stream. So I guess for those of you who are still around, which doesn't seem like anyone, that's a pretty cool thing, is that ice freezes things. And that's the case for all the enemies. So the next thing I want to do is add some sort of visual indicator while you're in your normal screen of what elemental power you have. So I'm going to create a test overlay. In-game, normal, base texture, interesting. So if I do fire, lol. I guess no base texture. Oh, here we go. This would do. Can I resize this? No, I cannot. That's slightly better. So just like something like that to act as an indicator. I wouldn't want to do that though. I think I just want to do like some sort of like, goodness me. Crafter, dispensing, edit book, edit Minecraft, edit sign. There's a lot of things. Holy cow. Accessibility options, abstract report, add server, chat options. There's a, holy cow, there's a ton of things. I had no idea. Customize skin? Oh, that's the settings. Controls, confirm, disconnect, error, experiments, edit world. Inventory. Font option? I had no idea how many things were on. Is there hotbar? Force inventory? Inventory? Hunger bars, pumpkin overlays. In-game. So I suppose what I could do is just new file. Hello. New file 16 by 16. Let's just test this. If I just create a box. Actually, I don't even need to do that here. I can go into resources, create new texture. Create eraser. Uh, 12? Save this texture. Screen, test. Test. Save this texture. So if I had this set, stop for a moment. There it is. In-game overlay. If fire locked. Current fire level. Let's create a just test procedure. Test overlay. So we need an if here. If return logic true, duplicate, otherwise return false. Custom variables. Not logic. Number. Active element. If active element equals, we'll grab 0. If active element equals 1. We'll save that. I just want to test to see like how this looks. Just overlay. Saved. How do I know how to do this stuff? Lord's wisdom. That's how. Essentially, that's what it boils down to. But a lot of it is just taking time to figure it out, how everything works, and kind of get an idea for the logic behind everything. That's all. It's nothing too complicated. So let's see what this looks like. If this looks as horrendous as I think it does, then... So, switch to fire. Oh no, that's interesting. It renders behind. That definitely, like... That definitely shrinks your POV. That definitely shrinks your POV. That's interesting, though. I could use that. I could use that for some interesting things. Is there a way to make that transparent? I'm also curious what high would do. Do I have... Let me... New file. 16. 16. What happened to my stuff? Goodness me. It's like... I just created a... Whoops. LOL. If I create something like this... Yeah, I kind of figured. Test. We'll just export there. If I use a transparent image, does it render transparent? That's the question. Wait, where is it? Where'd it go? Did I say? Oh, duh. I didn't export it. Alright, time to go back to the drawing board. Literally. Export, test. Close. Close. Exterminator Saga. Test. Test 1. Test 1. That, I think, should render transparent. I have reason to believe it would. Let's see if this works. I'm hoping it does. Let's see how this looks. Because if I can create like a border or something, just like a very subtle border. It does. It is transparent. You can see it on the left. You can see the bots. Well, I guess you can see it in any direction. But that creates like a subtle border. So that way you know you have the element of fire equipped. So this idea is going to work. I just have to design it so that way delete these and we'll take test 1, test 2 because, well, at the end of the day they were tests. Now we need the task of designing a test border, which I actually have a pretty good idea on where I can find a good template. Resources. Vanilla pack. Particles. Those are not texture, shades, text, textures. GUI. Items, maps, trims, particles. Containers, realms, styles. I saw this in here the other day. There's a texture file. That's credits. These are enchantments. Nausea, powder, snow, pumpkin, shadow, spyglass, underwater. I thought I'd be able to. Can I? It looks like a black hole. I think that's the idea. Colorize. Red. Recolor. Recolor. That is literally the opposite of what I wanted to do. Alright, so that's not gonna work. Alright, guess I have to do this the hard way. Why does he keep doing this? 16. I have to do this the hard way. I've got an idea. If I just create a box. I think it's the opposite, right? Let's create a box like that. And then I need to like upscale this. Actually, let's change the canvas size to something like ridiculous, like 64. And then do the box. I'm trying to make just kind of like an effect that goes around the edge of your screen. Even then, I'm not sure this is the way to do it. But just something like this. So it's like when you're looking at the screen, it just has this. Whoops. So that with yellow. I also don't want it super obvious. I think 100 is a good place to leave it. If this is too much, then we can always switch it later. But I think this will work. Yeah, let's just do that. Import GUI overlay. Sprite. And then let's do overlay. Fire overlay. Texture. Oh, I already imported it. Or did I? Yeah, I did. So this is what it would look like in game. If I save that, I really wish I didn't delete that other procedure. Fire overlay display on. Actually, do I have any, like... Do I have any conditions purely based off of if elements are active? Hi Finn, welcome back. I'm trying to make a visual indicator for your elemental powers, because one thing that bugs me is that you have to open your inventory to check if you forget, and that's not something I want for this. We did fix all the bugs though, so you didn't really miss much. flow control, logic. Duplicate that real quick. True, duplicate, false. Save. Open this. Fire overlay. And we're just really testing ideas. Just kind of get an idea if this is gonna work as well as I hope. I'm very curious to know if you think this is a good idea. We're just testing. So I literally just reset it up. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. What do you guys think? Because I've got my own opinions, but I'm very curious what you guys think. So obviously I've got fire enabled. I can click none to disable it. I think it needs to be slightly smaller. I think it needs to be like half of this size. I do think it's a good idea, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like it needs to be smaller. You think it's fine? Alright, I want to see, because I just want to test to see what happens if I make it even bigger. Because I can do that pretty easily. Sprite size... What's twice of 64? What is that, 128? Yeah, 200%. And then file will save as 002 instead. And again, this is just testing. So we'll just go into here, import 002, just to see like what it would look like if it was slightly bigger. Did I even do anything? That looks like I didn't even do anything. Alright, well that's good to know. Oh, I know why it didn't do anything. Because all it did was just change the ratio of the pixels. It didn't actually change how many pixels there are. So let's see. Let's get our eraser nice and big and just erase. Does this kind of make it a little bit more difficult? Oh wait, yellow was on the outskirts. And then we have this color. I do think this is going to be... Nope. I do think this is going to be a cool idea. I just don't know if it's too intrusive. I might have to ask my friend on Discord that I haven't heard from in a while. We'll just go with that. Fire overlay. In which case, there it is. Let's just see how this looks. Because I don't want it to be, like, too intrusive and in your face. I'd probably ask Ian. I might ask Johnny if he wants to know, but assuming he isn't here watching now. But we'll just see. I am very curious to see what this looks like with it slightly smaller. Yeah, definitely not hit delete. That would be very bad. Oh, dang it. I didn't think this through. I don't have a before and after. I don't have a good way to compare it. Ugh. I do think that's just slightly better. I don't have a before and after. Let me full screen it. That is a little bit better, I think. What do you guys think? Because here's with it off. And here's with it on. Oh, that's another thing I need to test. Video settings. Not view bobbing. Where is it? VSync? No. Accessibility? Looks okay. I just don't want it to be like too in your face. Where is it? Video settings. I'm looking because there's like a blackened border that you can toggle. And I can't find it. Mini map, effects, glint, menu background, view bobbing. I just want to see what it would look like with that on. Maybe it is actually on. Because... No, it isn't. Because it goes away when you do that. Why can't I find it? Smooth lighting? On? It's not smooth lighting, is it? No, it's definitely not. Where is... It's like Vigilant or something. I don't remember what the actual name is. Music, is it? No, surely not. Chat settings. Where the heck is it? So subtitles, high contrast. Oh no, what have I just done? Turn that off. Whoops! It's not view bobbing. Maybe it's just... Maybe it's just not a thing. Maybe it's just not a thing in this version of... That's cool. Yeah, I accidentally turned high contrast on. So maybe it's just not a thing. I think it's a good indicator. I just... I also don't like how it's like thinner on the bottom and wider at the top, or at the sides. That's a little bit annoying. But then again, I'm not using a rectangle, I'm using a square. And it's just stretching the texture. Let's try making the other elements and see how the other elements look. Because I think this is absolutely the way to go. I just need to do it with the other elements. The default palette. Cool. Maybe I should make the top wider. The way I would do that is by making this a rectangle, but I don't know the ratio. And I don't want to sit here for 5 years figuring it out. Ooh, do I go green and brown, or what colors do I even use for Earth? What colors do I even use for Earth? Fire is so easy. What do you guys think? Do I use brown and green, or do I use gray? Or do I use all three? How would that work? Because I've got more than 4 colors. We're gonna make the same thing but for Earth. We're actually gonna do the same thing for all the elements. Brown and green. Do I hear another brown and green? Hold on, is there adjustments? Brightness, contrast? Problem occurred. Cancel. Green and brown. Yeah, that seems to be the idea. Alright, there's not an easy way to do this, so... Do I do the green? I think I do the green on the inside, right? Green on the inside makes sense. Brown and green. Alright. Export. Let's see. Earth overlay. And I'll go in to File Explorer and rename that other one to Fire Overlay. We'll delete that one. Rename. Fire Overlay. I'm gonna move not that one as well. We're gonna move both those to elemental powers. As if there isn't a million different things. Alright, water's next. Get the box. So, blue on the outside for sure. And then it'll transition to white. I think that's a safe call. Yeah, I started with the darker blue on the border. File, export, sub earth overlay, water. Oh, that just saved it to the exact same spot. LOL, I forgot to change the spot. Elemental power. So eraser, get rid of all that. Just do a thorough job. Wind, or probably do dark gray at the edge. And then shift to white. I only have... Do I only have 3 colors for gray? I think I do. I only have 3 colors for wind. So this one won't be as thick, I guess. Yes, I'm aware about the current dinner situation. And quite frankly, I'm not exactly hungry. I'm not exactly hungry, lol. I have 4 grays. I do have these grays up here, but those are mainly for earth. These are wind, plus this one. So I guess I'll just use... That one I think is... This one I think is slightly on the blue side, but I think it's fine. This one barely, like, is barely visible because it's white. Wind overlay. And then we just got one more ice, and then we can put them in game and see how obnoxiously hideous they look. I think I start with this color. Just kind of keep it consistent. The more bold colors on the outskirts. We'll do that one. 200. Oh, look at these pixel perfect snipes. And we'll just finish it off with white. File, export. And then we just don't have to save that. Then we go in and move those two. Alright. Duplicate. Earth overlay. Then we're gonna switch it. Elemental powers. Oh, this is another one of the abilities I was talking about earlier. The ones that didn't make the cut. Camouflage. It was originally intended to be specifically for Earth, but this was before I did the universal switch. The basic idea is it gives you invisibility for a few seconds, and then if you strike a mob while invisible, then it does double damage. It also allows you to just sneak by mobs. We need to duplicate this as well. Earth overlay. Switch that to 2. And then see Earth overlay there. And that should be good. Duplicate. I don't understand this. Sometimes this thing just does what it wants. Water overlay 3. Although we have to add an additional external duplicate entity data is nope. We need biome. Where's biome? Where's biome? NBT logic. Where is biome? That's skeleton. There it is. I was looking in the wrong location. We need cold and extreme cold. Not looking for a specific biome, just looking for a tag. These things. And then we need 2 of these, because this is water. We're just checking to make sure that they're not in a cold or extreme cold, which would force it to ice. If I was smart, I would have made the element of ice element 5 instead of element 3, but cold. That would have saved me a lot of headaches, but it is what it is. Well, make that mistake again. If I add more elemental powers for whatever reason, then... that is ice, which we are gonna need. Might as well grab wind as well. Come on. Okay, which one is this? This is water. Water. Cool. Display condition. Water. Water, Mr. Rango. It's like one of my favorite quotes from that movie. For no real reason. Nice. Nice overlay. In which case, all we have to do is just bloop, bloop, bada bing, bada boom. That's done. We duplicate this. Ice. Ice is nice. Ice overlay. It's a very subtle difference, but I think it's noticeable. And then duplicate. Wind. We will duplicate this instead, because water is weird. Wind. So that's gonna be 4. Was that sound in the background? I think it's my keyboard. I'm not hearing anything else. So I really don't know what else to say. Alright, let's just run it and see what happens. I hooked all of them up. Oh, it might be my chair. My chair is a little bit squeaky. That's what it might be. Oh, the game went to full screen for whatever reason. It's odd. It is what it is. Alright, so that's fire. That's earth. Earth is a lot less noticeable. I can check that at Discord. Water is definitely watery. What does it look like underwater? Is the question. I think it should be more of a darker blue. What about ice? Huh, it seems like that's not working. Yeah, because it definitely didn't switch. And then wind just isn't working at all. That's interesting. Oh, because wind's on water. Lol. And then ice is also on water. That's why. That's why. It still looks good, lol. That was weird. Did I just see that say water bottle? I'm gonna have to watch it on stream. Wind looks fine. Water. That switch? Yeah, it did. It seems to bolden when you switch it. Doesn't seem like as subtle. I suppose that's fine. So that's frozen. Oh, that's right. The ice shot punt has pierce. There we go. There's ice explosion. I forgot to show this off earlier. So if you line up a bunch of mobs like this, you just back up. It pierces all of them. Whoa, what the heck was that? Wow, it's like his momentum just kind of stacks. That's weird. Well, that was ground pound. Yeah, it's like the momentum preserves. Well, that one just outright killed him. Yeah, I'm about to die. Lol. Ground pound still works even if you die. That is really funny. Come on, boys, round them up. I really do appreciate you hanging out with chat. Or in chat. Yeah, it seems like the momentum is just preserved for whatever reason. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Actually, I think I know how to fix that. And also, I was mainly doing that as just like a test fight run to see if if the border would like affect my vision at all, and like I didn't even notice it at all. Like I wasn't even paying that much attention. And it seems like... So, that's pretty good. Is there a way to reset velocity? Set attempt to override motion vector. That should do. When the effect expires. That should do the trick. That should prevent mobs from absolutely getting yeeted when they get frozen. And then they unthaw and then they just go flying. That should fix that problem. Overall, I do like how the elemental powers play out and how everything works. I think it's a really nice system, and I'm really happy with it. And I'm really thankful for the Lord who enabled me to do this in the first place. Okay, so... Bad test, because that just insta-killed everything. I'm just using my fist and these guys are going down. Wow. Ice is like super strong. These guys right now have 100 HP. So Element of Ice is putting in some serious work to take these guys out. So let's just... Wrong ability. Wrong ability. That's next on the agenda. Alright, we're just gonna have to test it a bunch. Yeah, that seems to do the case. Because ground pound would have absolutely set those guys flying. Interesting that ground pound only chills and doesn't actually freeze. I bet I'm gonna die again. We'll see about that. Considering I'm only using my fist, these guys are going down pretty well. Now you have to remember, while the mobs are affected, they take extra damage. So those guys are taking double damage. Also, what do you guys think of the sound effect? Their damage sound effect is fully original. I created it myself. And the more I hear it, the less I hate it, so... I'm curious what you guys think about the damage sound effect. Does it seem nice? Does it work nice? Oh, I got an idea. I'm gonna hit him here. It's cool. I would hope so. I feel like ground pound on initiation should launch you up. So you could technically use it for mobility. So if you're on the ground, or even if you're in air, it just kind of like pops you up just a little bit. I think that's something we should do. So let's go into abilities. And actually, I gotta close my curtains real quick. I keep forgetting to do this. Is close my curtains because the sun likes to beat down right on my screen. So where is ground pound? I don't think I want this ground pound, or do I? I do. Okay. So all we need to do is just give them like 0.4 or something. Just a little bit of a movement boost. And I'm just gonna test this for fire. Just to see if I like it. If not, then we can always just switch it out later. We can always switch it out later. Yeah, the more you see it, the more you're used to it, I think. So... So it doesn't work from the ground. Yeah, it still doesn't work from the ground. I do like that. I like the little hop. I do think you should keep your forward momentum though, so we need to get the motion vector. Where is motion vector? X delta movement. Is that it? Flare. Because that's the look angle. That's what I use for dash. So, Z delta movement? And just duplicate this. Fire. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the way to do it. But I could be wrong. If this sends me flying into oblivion backwards or something, or underground, then I'll know I did something wrong. Oh, hello, lag. That's shot punt. Yeah, that works. I do like the little hop up. Yeah, he goes down. What level is this? Currently level 8, so that's tier 3 ground pound. That is sweet. What other abilities do I have? I've got shot punt, explosion, and ground pound. Sweet. Yeah, let's just duplicate that for everything. Because I do like this little hop up. I do think it's subtle, and it could potentially be abused. It's also a mobility option, but I do like the little hop up. I don't like that it's... I like that it's not, like, super, like, launches you 6,000 feet into the air. It's just, like, a little extra hop to kind of just, like, really sell the effect a little bit. I think it's cool. So that's all set up. Is there anything ability-wise that I want to change? Was there any additional abilities that I wanted to modify? Heal is fine. Ground pound, spin. I think spin is fine as is. Dash is fine. Ground pound, explosion. Fortify. As far as ability goes, I think that's all the ones I want. Hazards are... Oh, hazards. That was another thing that we needed to change. That needs to be 5 ticks. Actions. What if I did something like this? I did a equation. Instead of an actual damage type. So because one thing it was doing weirdly, it was damaging me. So let's make this a equation. If we did minus, I think that's just gonna insta-kill pretty much, because this is gonna tick every 4 ticks, or every like 20 times a second. I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be an instant death, but you know what? Let's give it a try. And if this works, then we'll do the same on the other types. Because what I don't want to happen is I don't want the player to just kind of be knocked back as if they were hit by something. I want them to just kind of like a poison effect almost. That's what I would like. I also remembered I've got to do laundry today. And my load is still in the wash, so I can't stream for too much longer. Or I'd probably just go on break, switch over my laundry, and then come back. So I might have to go AFK for a second. Okay, so give epi Starmander Smoke hazard. Infinite. 0. I don't like that blindness is glitching out. Blindness is glitching out, and I'm not losing any health. So, that's odd. Oh, duh. Anything minus 0 is still anything. Well, I'm here. Might as well set that. Yeah, it's flashing. Hold on, you just gotta give me a second. I just need to switch that to this. But then it's not going to clear when I switch. Which I can already tell is going to be a problem. But we're going to try it anyway, just to see. Holy cow. You barely have any time to react. Yeah, you've got like no time to react. Holy cow. You've got absolutely no time to react. Well, if I did 0.1 instead, because I'm pretty sure hold on. Did I just lose the stream? Am I still going? Okay, I'm still going. Okay, my browser just crashed for whatever reason. I went to make a change and my browser legit just crashed. Alright, that is good to know. I will keep that in mind. I am glad to see I'm still actually rolling. My browser just outright crashed. I've never seen Opera GX crash like that before. That is definitely new. And I don't know how I feel about that. Alright, let's see what this does. If this just insta-kills, it seems like it's just gonna insta-kill. I sneezed. So that gives you more time to react, that's for sure. I also noticed blindness is very much infinite. So it's possible to have decimal places for health. That's interesting to know. I feel like 0.01 is a bit too much, so 0.5? That's also still simulating damage. Let's see. No, that's what it was doing last time. This is tricky. What do we do here? Alright, well, I'm gonna go and switch over my laundry real quick. Overlays. I'm just gonna overlay. I also realized the cool Sam there is not the username. I need to go switch over my laundry, so I'll be back in a moment. And we'll pick this up when I get back. Alright, I'm back. Where were we? That's right. Huh. Does space use this one as well? It does. So that's interesting. So... yeah, it's good to be back. Camping trip was nice. So I'm thinking, how do we... so that's just gonna instantly drain. I don't know if there's a way to not have the player... let's just test and see. Is the player actually being like knocked in a specific direction, or is it just look like they're being? That's something we need to figure out. Because if they're not actually being pushed by the damage, then this is fine. Preparing to die. So we have wind enabled. If I switch to fire, yeah, that's pretty instant. So they're not actually being knocked. Get dog fucked. Problem is the blindness is very much still active. I just walked in the lava, lol. Now I can go into lava. Oh! I forgot about that. There's a whole bunch of guys in here. I forgot I was in survival mode. Just drop all these guys. They don't have much HP. Yeah, it's not enough to get up, like... it's probably enough to get up a full block, but... nothing crazy from there. So, as far as smoke hazard goes... oh, it can kill you in creative mode. Username is not Vec, it is Dev, and the reason of that is because I can't actually control what my username is. It's just something with MCreator. Smoke hazard. So... typos, yeah, that's fine. So, one, we need to clear the smoke. Which means we can't have that infinite. What we can do is make this, like, 20, so it's a full second. And that should do. You wanna know what would be better? I reckon the wither effect would be better. If we just gave the player the wither effect. I think that would be better. Because the wither effect is like poison, and it hides your HP. So there's a visual indicator as well. I think that's absolutely the way to do this. It'll work for like smoke and space, but I'm not sure about heat and cold. That's something to check. Okay. Oh, no, that's interesting. So, blindness is still glitching out, which I think I know how to solve that. We'll just make these infinite as well. And then when this effect expires, we need to remove and we just do that. Oh, wait. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. I already know it. I already know it. It'll work when they leave the area, but it won't work if they switch to wind. Yeah, it's not gonna work. I can already tell. Hello. Well, I have a ton of blindness. And Wither is not doing anything. Confused? Maybe Wither isn't gonna work. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. We'll just set it back to how it was before. One thing that I do want to change, though, is going into fire. Edit this. Because this is water damage. This also throws the player. So what we can do is we can actually set health. Set on fire, set health. This is tricky. These are player-specific things. This is empty. The problem with this is it's just like pushing the player to like the corner, and that's not exactly what I want. It pushes players, and we can just test to see this. Yeah, this is the easiest way to do it, but it pushes the player away. And I'm not sure that's something I want. That's to be expected. Yeah, you can see it's just bouncing me around in a random direction. And that's not good. Now, if I have smoke, if I have wind, then there's no problem. What level wind do I have? Oh, I've got 8. Huh? Why did that launch me out? The guy's drowning. The guy's drowning. Of course. Of course. I couldn't get the shot in. Holy cow, that does a lot of knockback. Whee! Guy explosion sends them sky high. That is not doing as much knockback as I was expecting it to. So, the hazards is definitely something to come back to. Let's see. Shot punt. Shot punt. So, that's fire. Earth has damage and more pierce. Or more knockback. Water's pretty standard. Ice has pierce. And wind has knockback. Does knockback break at higher levels like this? That's something to test. Let's drop the level of power. So let's see. We drop wind to 3. And then jump at the fire. To reset health. If we just spawn this guy in. Wind is not doing any knockback whatsoever. Why'd they knock me back? Okay, that just outright missed. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be doing any knockback at all. That is concerning. Perhaps that warrants something to check out. So, damage 2, 4, and 6. Knockback is 2. That's very odd. Why is wind not doing knockback? Is it because of the projectile? Does this thing have a... It does. So if I created a... Let's just create a test. Default's also 5. So why is that? Not doing that. What are the other ones at? So that's at 1. That's at 1. Earth is at 3, 4, and 5. So why is wind broken? 2, 4, and 6. Why is wind broken? That's the question. Is it because of its speed? I think it might be because of its speed. It's just traveling too fast to calculate it. That's my best guess. I just don't know. Regardless, it's something that needs fixed. Wind is supposed to do a bunch of knockback with its projectile. But for whatever reason, I don't know why it's not doing anything. You know what? I think I know what it is. Let me go back into the projectile. It's a living entity. Yeah, this is what it's doing. Windball procedure hits block. I originally put that in because I wanted this to behave like a wind charge. So hits mob, hits block. So we can delete both of these now. So this will only do the knockback that the shot punt initiates. Where is shot punt? This is a problem. This is a problem that I keep running into. Here we go. So it wasn't the speed or anything, it was just the projectile itself was also dishing out a knockback, and that was causing cancellation. That's what it was. So we can still keep the knockback. That's really cool. That is really nice. Hello. Oh, I already killed him. Sweet. Brand new one. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There's a knockback I was looking for. What the heck? That's not right. Yeah, that's just even more crazy knockback. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, hello. Yeah, was very weird. That didn't have any issue. That didn't have any issue. If I can't replicate it, I can't know exactly what it was. Just go up here and snipe this guy. Yeah, that works. I don't know, that was really weird. I think it had something to do with just like the angle at which I threw it. Alright. I think that's a good place to call it. We got a lot more done. A lot more fixed. We got the overlays, which I'm not entirely sold on. But I don't hate them. But it's definitely something to note for the future to change a little bit later. But for the time being, I think it's a good place to call it. I'm tired. We're going for 3.5 hours. I'm tired. So, we got a lot done today. I hope you guys enjoyed what you see. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to make these powers something truly fun and special to use. And I want to make a really cool map. A really good map. And we'll kind of see how that goes. I think next stream we're gonna go and put the blaster tank that we did the other stream. This guy. I think we're gonna put this guy in game so we can have both of them. I think that'll be cool. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.